Okay, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, and now for the prayer. As we gather here today as members of Rotary, we pray that we are ever mindful of opportunities to render our service to fellow citizens and to our community, keeping in mind always the enduring values of life, exerting our efforts in those areas and on those things upon which future generations can build with confidence. Let us continue to strive to make a better world. Amen. All right.
So today,
yeah.
A ship is always safe at shore, but that is not what it's built for.
Came from Albert Einstein. All right, it's over to you now. You can all sit.
Announcements, yeah.
I gave them to you.
You were giving announcements. You can read them. Oh, there we go. That's easy. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, Mr. President.
Please enjoy your lunch as we're going over the announcements. We have a board meeting coming up on Zoom, August 10th, that's a Tuesday at 6 p.m. Stay tuned for more info on that. August 12th from 4 to 9, Ducks Unlimited dinner. Still looking for volunteers for setup, serving, cleanup, cooking, etc. Yes.
Here's flyers for everybody. These are the actual for the people that are signing up, and it gives where it's at and what time.
Is that for the volunteer sign up?
This is these aren't sign up sheets.
This is for the Dutch Unlimited
Information.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Yeah.
So this is just information. Again, this is what we give people that are coming to the event.
Now you're on this event, right, John?
With that,
You're kind of coordinating this, right?
Yeah, Ken is overseeing it. And
John,
John, if
you
people want to make a donation, they can.
so here's the situation.
Yeah, go ahead and
Ducks Unlimited is a 501c3 corporation, and it was founded in 1938 by hunters to ensure that there was waterfowl hunt in the future. They could look forward and see that farmland was getting gobbled up. The United States government couldn't do anything in Canada because they couldn't send money out of the country. And so Ducks Unlimited was founded and has preserved millions and millions of farmland and wetland that obviously don't just provide habitat for ducks. There's thousands of different creatures that live in those wetlands. So it's a very environmental friendly 501c3. It's huge. It's like Rotary. It gets lots of good marks high on the pole. And so I'm involved with fundraising for that organization. Where did Rotary come in? Every year, I needed to. Every year, when we put on this event, we need to hire caterers and people that and serve the attendees, which is about 100. And these people are spending money. So, and what we do at Rotary Club is provide the food and the work to feed these people. In turn, that 501c3 donates money back to this 501c3. And so it's a win-win. We get anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 depending on how many people that are for one short evening tour. So we need everybody that can to please be involved in. If you're already signed up, get signed up for it. And you'll see it's a really great event. Unfortunately, one of our past Rotarians who would normally, with the work club that was also a member section in London, is not gonna make it this year. But everybody remembers Chuck Shipperson. Yeah, good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, beautiful.
So please, keep next Thursday night, so a week from tonight. We'll be meeting people there. Ken will set it up, but it'll be between 4:30 and 9:30 or so. We'll be at work. So it's a very short shift. If we get everybody on board, Jerry's done.
Happen, yeah.
Okay.
Also, I was at the district meeting last night in Fremont. And for those of you, and I think anybody, we're all ambassadors, right? We're all out there recruiting folks. So especially Frank Jewett, since he's going to be having a membership role. On August 21st, there is a district membership seminar that's going to be put on up in, looks like it's in Milpitas, from 8:30 to 12. So anybody interested in getting more tips on recruiting and things of that nature, this would be a good meeting to go to. And I also have some directories out of our district, so if you want one, come on up and get it after the meeting. Without further ado, Joan is now initiating our first Rotary Minute, which we're going to have at every meeting by Miss Joan Perry.
First of all, it's really glad to see you all back in person. How great is this? Zoom just doesn't cut it the same way. And I might add, without masks. Wonderful to see you now. So I'm going to have a Rotary Minute. It's going to be something about Rotary. It might be about something international. It might be something about what's going on in our club. It might be something about another club in our district who's doing something. But the effort is to have us understand that we're part of a bigger organization with lots going on. Many of you get the Rotarian magazine. My minute for today is that several of us attended the district conference. Help me with this. Dave was there. Who else was there? Brian was there. I was there. Who else? Chris was there. Paul was there.
Paul Strauss, yeah.
I can remember Paul was there. We witnessed them trying to get Rotary back alive again. So it's only a one-day event. Next year, they say it's a 3-day event. We watched the past district governor get kicked out and the new district governor, who is Flanders, Richard Flanders, come in. He had a big contingency at his club there. So, it was interesting. This brother is trying to get it better than after this whole year we have. And next year it will be a 3-day event. It always gives me great perspective because you get to see other clubs and what they're doing in the House of Friendship, which Brian had a booth in the House of Friendship. So it gives you a chance to see what other clubs are doing. Personally, I joined Rotary in 2005, I think. 1985. And I'm really looking for some renewed spirit and energy in Rotary because I think last year was hard, and hopefully, with all that's going on with Dave now and our new leadership, we can kick ass and the district's going to really start to notice us, and the opportunity is really there. So that's my Rotary Minute for this week.
I'd also like to recognize our guest today, Mr. Paul Hollis. Thank you for joining us. And also our new Rotarian, Mr. Frank Jewett. I'd like to give you 30 seconds to introduce himself and give you the background on him. Frank? You're on.
Good to be here again. Frank Jewett. I'm amongst all Spartans. If you aren't, you will be after this year. I came up to San Jose State in the 80s on a track scholarship to San Jose State. and then graduated from San Jose State, went into banking, then in technology. Dave and I met in the communications space, and then got very involved in the community, served on various boards, commissions. I've been on the West Valley Mission Community College District Foundation for 23 years. I was elected to the Board of Trustees, served for a term, too conservative, so one termer. So, but I've been on Campfire Boys and Girls. I was on the Envision board for 9 years. Very much focused on not only the business person, but a person that very much feels that community engagement is important. That it's really about building better community, and it really starts with this team, with this group here, and others that have come before and that will come in the future. And I also served 19 years in the Navy Reserves. I've been busy with doing reserve duty in the supply logistics space, and I'm currently working with a company called CETA doing supply logistics. Not married, I have some family in Southern California. Finished my master's at St. Mary's in Moraga, and Dave told me I was plenty of education. Then Joan said, well, maybe you should just get your doctorate. So now I'm going to try to get my doctorate at San Jose State in educational leadership. I don't think I know enough yet. So thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
Welcome, Frank.
And now we'll turn the meeting back over to Mr. Brian O'Neill.
Thank you. Okay, and before we get our speaker, we have a special guest from the Interact Area Representative for District 7. And she, pardon me? And she also is the Pioneer Interact Club. Are you the president or?
Yeah, I'm the president in the area service director.
Okay. So she also went to Camp Ryla, which is the camp that we do every summer. It was virtual this year. She didn't get to go up to Santa Cruz Mountains, but she did seem to have a great experience. So why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, sure. Can I share my screen?
Yeah, you can share the screen.
So my name is Anne, and I work for Ryla District. So my family group was the Mustardneers. So what did I learn from Ryla? I learned a lot of new leadership and teamwork skills. Basically, we had to make a skit where we demonstrated the importance of good communication and teamwork. And in our skit, we kind of showed how not communicating or not being inclusive to everyone's ideas could really impact the overall group dynamics and really gets in the way of teams achieving their goals. I also learned the importance of leading with love. I really liked this phrase that Ryla had because it's really important to be a good leader and create a safe place for all ideas. This is something I'd also like to implement in my term as an area director and my term as a Pioneer Interact president as well, because I would like to incorporate everyone's ideas and treat everyone fairly, and most importantly, treat everyone with love. And if anyone has any different opinions from me, this is something I kind of learned from Ryla, that it's really important to just hear them out and be open to disagreement. At times, everyone's going to have different opinions and different values, and it's really important that you're able to hear them out and be a source of support for other people in my area or my district to ensure the wellness of everyone. And in every team, there are going to be differences, whether it's different people, different ideas, but it's really important to embrace all of these differences and find unity amongst everyone. So why do I love Ryla? Even though Ryla was completely virtual, it really didn't feel like it. Everyone was so welcoming and friendly. Every morning in the Zoom calls, the camp counselors would hype everyone up and make the camp engaging. They would have these little dance sessions where attendees could volunteer and share their favorite moves. So it was really encouraging, and it was a safe place where I felt at home. And the camp counselors would always greet me with a wide smile. And I just met so many incredible people. And the friendships was one of the biggest things I gained from Ryla. And not just in 5170, but in the world. I know there were attendees from like India, Nicaragua, Colombia, so many different countries. And it was so unique how all of these attendees were on one Zoom call to experience the magic of Ryla. So I'm so glad I was able to attend and meet so many people because it made me feel connected as a district. So another important thing I gained was public speaking. Especially because of COVID, I haven't been able to like step out of my house too much and network with people. So I kind of lost confidence in my ability, and I was kind of not too good with public speaking. But with Ryla, I had the opportunity to build new connections and get more confidence in myself, trust my instincts, and just have conversations with other people and step out of my comfort zone. So I think it was really amazing that I was able to virtually gain so many skills that I will continue to implement throughout the course of my life. I also gained so much confidence. The camp counselors, especially mine, were so encouraging, and they were always there to like support you and cheer you on. And the icebreakers that we participated in and we were introducing ourselves, they all helped me become more confident in myself. So this year, because Ryla was virtual, we used Zoom and we also used Gather. So Zoom is a platform most people are familiar with, but Gather is like another digital program that's really fun and interactive. You're able to like sit in these family rooms and you're able to like you're able to play games, you're able to have like skits. So using Gather was really nice because you're able to like privately message people. If you run into people, you're able to see their face and have conversations with them. So it was really interactive and creative. So my favorite memory was spending time with my family. Oh shoot. My favorite memory was spending time with my family members. In my mustard near family, we had a lot of games, we had a lot of leadership activities, and I got to bond with so many people, and I'm still in touch with many of them. One of my favorite memories was we had these little s'more packages. So we all did a house tour and then we ate s'mores together in a virtual campfire setting. And then we just talked about life and bonded with each other. So I think it was really, really fun. And I just wanted to say thank you. Without your gracious sponsorship, I would not be able to attend this wonderful event. And I got to meet so many new people. I got to learn so much and explored the depth of Interact. And I think that after this event, I've definitely had a closer connection with this club. And I've been able to really connect with different people because of one cause, which is service. So thank you for making this experience possible for me. And I'd also like to talk about my Area 7 Director position. Are you guys able to see this slide?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. So just a quick little recap of what I'll be doing. I'll just be talking about myself. I'll be introducing the president, which is actually me. And then I'll be talking about ways we can reach out and stay connected. So number one, you can learn about me and my goals. So my name is Anvi Damani, and I was elected as the Area 7 Director this upcoming year. I am a rising senior at Pioneer High School. So why do I love Interact? The club's values and goals really align with my personal goals as well. And I really wanted to give back to my community on a larger scale and be a source of support for my peers. And this club is a perfect medium which enables me to do so. Interact has sparked my passion for service, and it continues to inspire me every day. I think it's so amazing how through this club, we're able to improve and help so many other people. And we're united because of our love for service. And Interact is literally my family, and I've built so many connections with different people, such as you Rotarians. So I'm sure you guys know what Interact is, but just to give a quick refresher, Interact is a service club for youth ages 12 to 18, because there are middle schoolers as well who want to connect with others in their community or school. So we are sponsored by Rotary clubs, such as Almaden Valley Rotary, and Interact clubs organize at least 2 service projects every year. So one that benefits the community and one that encourages international understanding. So we do receive guidance from Rotary clubs, but we are self-governed. So how does Interact function? Basically, we have district council members. So I'm a district council member. I'm the Area 7 director. And the mission of district council is to create, strengthen, and grow Interact clubs so they will inspire other people and be a positive influence on their campus and communities, while simultaneously improving lives of others in the globe as well. So District 5170 is split into 13 areas, which ranges all the way from Oakland to Gilroy. So I'm in Area 7, which is San Jose, and every area has an area director who serves as a liaison from the clubs in their area to district council. And we also have advisors who are able to help us. So just a bit more about my journey. So my brother's friend was actually on district council and in Interact 10 years ago. So I always knew I wanted to be a part of this club. So I joined my freshman year and I instantly fell in love with the club's purpose. I was able to attend so many events such as like CBRS, which is a stayover at UC Berkeley. I attended FLC, Power, Ryla, and I grew a personal connection and realized what service really meant to me. And I hope to apply this to my Area 7 director position, because I want to work with people directly in my area and ignite the passion for services in them. And I also want to take Area 7 to greater heights and help them and help my members find their why for being in Interact. So just to quickly go over the Area 7 goals, my #1 goal is to reinstill the love for service in members and revive Area 7. Especially after COVID-19, membership has been declining, but I hope to kind of really show members what Interact really is and just make it one of the biggest areas again. I also would like to make sure that our service and fundraising goal are being implemented, because Interact is a service club. And most importantly, I would like to build a strong connection with Rotarians like you. I don't want to talk to you guys just for sponsorships or scholarships. I genuinely want to get to know all of you guys better and create a close bond. So I would like to attend your meetings and also invite you to attend our area meetings as well. So something new I'm starting this year is that at every area meeting, 2 schools will be leading the area meeting with like games, icebreakers, and mini service events. But at that area meeting, I would also like those school presidents to invite their sponsoring Rotarians to give, so they could like kind of talk about what Rotary has been up to and also see what Interact has been up to. So Pioneer, for example, will be leading the area meeting in January. So I will make sure that all of you guys are able to attend our area meeting and just hear about what we've been up to and provide us with your updates as well. And of course, feel free to attend any of our area meetings, because we would love your presence and we genuinely all appreciate everything you all do for us. So every Interact club is sponsored by a Rotary club, and Pioneer is sponsored by Almaden Valley in Area 7. Branham was also sponsored by Almaden Valley in Area 7, but unfortunately, they do not have a president, so they don't have anyone to continue the legacy. So I believe Branham is currently unactive and dechartered, but I will keep you updated regarding that. But for Pioneer, my main goal is to increase member retention and reach a goal of 30 active members. I'd also like to provide more resources for members. Sometimes people don't really know what Interact is or what Interact does. So I'd like to make sure that everyone really knows or has a thorough understanding of this. And lastly, I'd want to ignite the spirit for service in my club and make sure that people are involved and active in helping our community. So maintaining contact is the next part of this meeting. So how can Rotary help? Every area has benefit shows and charity dinners. So as an area director, these are events I will be planning, but we would love to have Rotary help as well. So you can manage food, you could help out with the registration. There are a lot of various components, and we would love for you guys to help and attend our events. Also, events like FLC or benefit shows, for example, do cost some money, so it would be great to receive some extra help. Sponsorships. You already have been doing an amazing job with providing us with sponsorships and scholarships. And because of your donations, interactors like me are able to attend so many events like Power and Ryla, where they can meet new people and gain new leadership skills. I would also love for you guys to attend our meetings. As I mentioned earlier, anyone have any questions that I can answer?
Brian, we're going to move on. Any questions, anybody? I think he told us everything we need to know.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for inviting me. I would love to have you guys attend our meetings as well, and possibly attend your meetings in the future as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you. You can stay on if you like. Here we go. There we go. I'm sorry we're a little behind. We're trying to get used to this hybrid meeting.
No worries. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Julie. So Julie is a Cluff. Is that correct?
Cluff, yes.
Is an inspirational speaker, author, international grief coach, and a host of the popular Build a Life After Loss podcast. She's a founder of Build a Life After Loss and True Hope Leadership. She weaves principles of recovery and success throughout her presentations to inspire others to action. Julie and her fun-loving husband live in Salt Lake City.
Yes.
So she's coming all the way from Salt Lake City with their Maltipoo Scout. I imagine that's a dog.
Yes.
They have 6 beautiful children, including 2 angels and 10 incredible grandchildren, which is just the real reasons to have children. Julie enthusiastically shares a message of hope across many platforms. So let's give a warm welcome to Julie Cluff. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Brian, for the introduction. Am I able to share my screen?
Yes, you are.
Okay, perfect. And you guys can see and hear me okay?
Oh, yes.
Awesome. This is great. Okay, let me share my screen and we'll get started. It's always a little slow. Okay, there we go. Let me just change this. All right, good. So Brian messaged this week and told me a little, just briefly, just mentioned some of the loss that you have experienced as a club recently, devastating loss. And of course, this past year and a half has been a series of losses for our communities, for ourselves individually, and in every way. It's just a series of losses. And so I kind of took a liberty and changed my typical topic to Rotary Club and thought I would speak a little bit specifically about grief, if that's okay. I often equate grief and loss to being thrown into the middle of a deep lake and you've never learned how to swim. I mean, how many of you can relate to that? It's just like you have no idea how to navigate and you're just kind of drowning in the middle of this lake. And if you've, I grew up in Florida, that's where I'm from. And I lived there for many, many years, lots of water. And I had occasion as a young person to experience that feeling of physically drowning. Like, I was in the lake and I was young, and for some reason I knew how to swim, but for some reason I got pushed under at this one point. And I just remember that feeling of panic that I felt in that moment where I was just under this water and nobody seemed to realize that I was under. Of course, I'm here today, so the story ends well. But this is often how we feel emotionally when loss happens, when grief happens. And what I've discovered is that just like we can learn to swim in a lake, we can learn to navigate grief and get to the shore, and not get to any shore, but to get to swim to where we want to go, to get to where we want to go. And that's a little bit about what I want to share with you today. And you may be asking, why am I here? Why do I even talk about grief? And I just want to share a little piece about why I'm here. And that is, first of all, I lost my brother to suicide many years ago, 20 years ago. And then not long after that, I went through a divorce from my first husband, since remarried, the fun-loving husband that Brian mentioned. Many years ago, we married, and I came to the marriage with 3 children, and my husband and I, my current husband and I, had 3 more children. And when our youngest 2 were 8 and 10, we were in a car accident. I was driving the car. I had my 3 youngest children with me. My son, James, who was 12, was sitting next to me. Carrie and David were in the back seat, and we were in a rollover accident in our SUV. And unfortunately, Carrie and David were thrown from the car, and they didn't survive the accident. And these losses, as well as so many others, is what brings me here today talking about grief. It's why I do what I do, because there's too many people in the world believing that they have to stay in the middle of that lake drowning. And if you hear nothing else today, it's that grief is part of the process. Grief is associated with loss. It's the normal, it's the natural reaction to loss, but we don't have to stay there. And that no matter what the loss, we can regain our footing, we can regain our confidence. I loved what Avi said about confidence, and how, kind of lost our confidence in crowds and people, and being, I was so excited 2 weeks ago, I gave a live presentation. I had all these live presentations on my books when everything closed down last year. And I was actually able to be in a room with people, but it's also unnerving too, because, we haven't been live for a while. But no matter what the loss, we can regain our confidence. We can regain our joy in life. We can regain our purpose. And I just want to share, this was a picture. The accident where my children died was on Mother's Day in 2007. This was the anniversary. This was right around 3 years after the accident. My husband had a trip to London, and business trip, and he took me with him. Now, he didn't take me with him because he thought it would be a fun vacation. He took me with him because I was doing so poorly that he was worried to leave me at home. And when this past January, had some pictures taken, and I just happened across, it gets me emotional talking about it, because I remember being in this really, really hard place. And when I saw these pictures next to each other, it was like a physical representation of healing. And I'm so, so grateful that I found answers, that I experienced healing, and that's what I offer. That's what I offer to teach people. These are my children, Carrie on the left and David on the right, with their sister Stephanie in the middle. Carrie and David. Carrie was 10 when she died, and David was 8, and this was taken the month before they passed away. But, and I wrote a book, Miracles in the Darkness, about my experience of losing my children. But I want to share with you a little bit about grief, because this is kind of what grief feels like. It's like this boulder, it just lands on us. It's heavy, it's unexpected. Even when it's expected, it's unexpected, isn't it? Even when we anticipate a loss, when it actually happens, there's a whole nother level of grief that happens. This comes from the death, it comes from stillbirth, it comes from miscarriage, divorce, breakup, estrangement, abuse, health crisis, career crisis. People have lost businesses because of shutdowns. There's so much loss in the world. This is what we experience. And so it's really important that we learn about grief and that we don't find ourselves in the middle of that deep lake, because we do need to learn skills around grief and recovery. But this is what it feels like, doesn't it? It's like we use the words crushed, devastated, distressed, shattered, shocked, overwhelmed, distraught. Those are the words that we use. There's a reason we use those words. And that boulder of grief just settles into us, and we're in this space of low vibration, low energy, low feelings. And it's very, very hard to bring ourselves from there to where we want, where we don't want to feel that, but that's our normal and natural reaction. And when we have multiple losses, it's as if those boulders just keep stacking up on top of each other. And we get to the point where we just don't feel good. It even covers, you can see this visually, like it covers our throat, it covers our ability to think and to talk and to share. And what it feels like when we go, we've kind of plunged into this place of coping, and we want to get over here to rebuilding, where we feel whole and healthy and vibrant again. But how do we get there? Because when we step off of coping, it's like there's no path. There's no path from there to there. And so what we do is we go from coping to, oh, I need to rebuild. I need to, pick myself up by the bootstraps and get on with life. And we try to move on with life, but we're carrying that boulder with us, and there's not a good path. And so we try to jump over to rebuilding, and it doesn't work. So we go back. And we do that. If we do that enough times, we think there is no path. It is not possible. This is as good as it gets. And that's what we find that people will get into a place of despair. Grief is in this space between understanding and healing and despair. And we want to be in a place of healing and help. And so it is a challenge. This is the challenge of grief. We hear things like, you have to learn to carry it. Just keep yourself busy. It will always be with you. You will grieve forever. And we don't always hear those messages with every type of loss, but there are certain losses where we hear messages like, you just got to figure out how to carry it. It's just going to grieve forever. And then there are other losses where it's just like, well, if you just keep busy, then you won't have to deal with the grief. And those messages are unhelpful. So what do we do? And here I show like this, the challenge of grief is in this place between transformation and the abyss of despair. And so what is going to bring us to transformation instead of despair? And what brings us forward is hope and courage, and where we can find peace and transformation. Grief is normal. It is the place that you find yourself. It's the crossroad between despair and healing. Grief is intended to support healing, but it's so dangerously close to despair. And the choices we make while in grief matter. That's why it matters so, so much. Despair drains us from all that is vibrant and joyful and leaves behind the empty remnants of what life was meant to be. Despair can seem like a staircase that leads only and forever downward, whereas hope is like the beam of sunlight rising up and above the horizon of our present circumstances. It pierces the darkness with a brilliant dawn. So choices. And we say, I didn't choose my current circumstances. I didn't choose this loss. I didn't choose to grieve. So what choices do I have? And is there hope for me? that's probably in different forms the question that I get asked the most, and the question that I love to get asked the most, because I truly believe there is hope, always, always, always hope for rebuilding and regaining our vibrancy for life. So what is our choice? Because Viktor Frankl said, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. And that is the key to growth after grief. I can choose hope. We can choose love. We can choose to grow and change. So the model of healing, and this is the hope model of healing that bridges this gap between coping and rebuilding. Now, maybe you have seen a model of grief that looks something like, where a grief in the beginning just is so overwhelming. But as we as a person have new experiences, we grow around that grief. And so that particular model of grief, what it shows us is that what it illustrates is that the grief doesn't really leave, that we just grow around it, and we become, not obviously, I'm never going to get taller, but we become more able to carry our grief. But the hope model of healing that I offer is that we do have new experiences, we do grow around our grief and that sadness that we feel, and that when we go through that growth process, that then we're able to resolve and heal that grief that we carry, so that we don't carry it for a lifetime. It is a process, so that we create a pathway between coping and rebuilding. And that is the way that we go from coping to rebuilding, is that we're missing some of the steps in the middle. So the hope model of healing is that we honor our grief, that we open to understanding, to really understanding grief, what it is, what it isn't, how we can cope, and how we can understand the process, that we prepare through discovery. You know that big boulder of grief that I showed? If you've ever been hiking and you tried to move a large boulder out of your path, you know how impossible that is. And that's a lot of times how we view grief. Like, this thing happened, like I went through a divorce, that's this boulder, and we're trying to move the whole boulder. Or, my child died, or I lost my career, I lost my business. It's just this huge thing that we're trying to move all at once. But through the discovery process, we learn that boulder is not just one big thing. It's actually a collection of rocks and pebbles and sand. And we move those pieces one by one, instead of feeling like we have to move it all at once. Much more manageable. And then we embrace resolution and rebuilding. Hope offers a pathway to healing. It leads to transformation. If you've ever heard of a post-traumatic stress disorder, that's what I experienced after the accident. And through specialized therapy, I was able to overcome my PTSD. But there's also a thing called post-traumatic growth. And it's almost as if they view post-traumatic growth as you either accidentally stumble across it or you don't, and you're left, with this situation, this pain that you don't want to carry, but the loss isn't going to go away. So then you start thinking there's no way to lift the pain of it. And my belief is that post-traumatic growth is available to everyone, and that through a process of steps and healing, we can all experience post-traumatic growth. So what are some of the things that we can do in the process, in our now, in our moments when we experience disappointment, when we experience sadness, when we experience grief? So the first thing is to keep hope alive. Listen to messages that bring you hope and inspire you. Turn off messages that say that it's not possible, that you can't heal. Allow your emotions. This is super hard because we all live in this world that just wants to, we just want to embrace positivity to the point that we exclude other emotions. But it's necessary for us to allow our emotions and seek support. Our support needs to be equal or greater than our challenge. If you think about being put in the middle of a lake and not being able to swim, obviously you're going to want somebody to come by with a boat or who can teach you how to swim or has a life vest or something. So just, just remembering that it's not weakness to seek support, it's strength to seek support for the challenges that you face. Albert Einstein said we can't solve a problem with the same thinking we used when we created the problem. Now, we don't create the problem of grief, but I think the same thing applies, is that we can't solve the problem that we're experiencing. We can't solve grief from the same level of understanding that we currently have until we elevate our growth, elevate our understanding. And that's when we gain that strength to heal our heart. So I wanted to talk for just 1 minute about supporting others, because it's important that we, when we go through loss, a lot of that loss is experienced by many, many people. If you're at the epicenter, you're at the beginning of that loss, if you're in the middle of that loss, you are probably not going to have the strength really to support others. You're going to want to, but you're in need of that support. But then as we move out, we deal with our own feelings about what's been lost, but then we also deal with wanting to support others in that loss. So I just wanted to offer 3 quick ideas for supporting others. One is to show up, and whatever that looks like. If it's a casual relationship, maybe it's just sending a card or picking up the phone and saying, I'm so sorry, or, but not feeling like you have to say the right thing. Trying to say just the right thing sometimes is what gets us into trouble, but just expressing your sorrow for their loss. If it's a deeper relationship, we hear that we need to grieve alone and that we just leave people alone and let them deal with it. But in reality, people need people to show up in whatever way that makes sense for you and for the relationship. Listen. Listening is key. Just listen and remember that they're going through a really difficult time. So the things that they say may not make sense. And you may really have this urge to talk them out of what they're thinking and feeling and saying. And it's not necessary to talk them out of it. Really what they need is just to be able to express themselves so that they can move through. And don't try to fix it. This gets us into big trouble too, is because we try to fix it and we can't fix it. But showing up is so key. That compassion is so healing. And just coming with compassion is huge. I just want to encourage each of you as you consider your own experiences with loss and grief and the experiences that you're having in your community and your experience as a leader in your community. As a Rotarian, you are a leader, you are providing service, you are providing that compassion, you are providing that support. And so I just want to encourage you in your work that you do, because I'm a huge fan. And I am available. I know that we're right on time, but if you have a moment for questions, I am totally open for questions.
Okay, is there any questions? Is the book out now, or is it available?
Yes, it is. It's on Amazon or anywhere where you get books.
Anybody else have questions?
What was the name of the book again?
It's Miracles in the Darkness. You can look it up under my name too, Julie Cluff. And there's a link on my website, buildalifeafterloss.com, where you can read the first chapter. And it has a link to the.
I'll include it in the replay. Hopefully all you guys read it. Okay. I really appreciate what you said about what do you say to somebody when they had a loss, because I feel comfortable, and I now have kind of idea, just say what you feel. So thank you very much. Any other questions? All right, thank you very much, Julie. Thanks so much. All right, thank you. And Bill left, I guess, but she's great. Thank you all for coming on Zoom. We did our second hybrid meeting. We still got a lot to work on. Get a little more efficient. So I guess that's it. You want to ring the bell, Paul? Good, Paul. All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you all.